Hi, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. So today I actually want to talk about one of Amberlynn Reid's old videos. So it's a retro react. Yay! I'm not really sure when you guys will be seeing this. I like to film a couple of these and have them sort of stockpiled. It's basically just something I keep in the back burner in case a video idea doesn't work out or it's taking longer than normal. And this way, you know, if I've promised a video, you guys will have a video. So I don't know when you guys will be seeing this. Just know whatever else is happening with Amberlynn Reid, I have no idea. This is in the past. This is right now, mid-October. The video I want to react to is her video about eating in public as a obese person. Now, if some of you guys might not know, but I'm someone who struggled with weight her entire life. My channel has, thankfully, had a lot of growth. And so, you know, some of you guys are new and you might not know that. I've basically had a weight yo-yoing problem for a very long period of time. I'd actually managed to get my weight down to exactly where I wanted it. And then in 2018, and then unfortunately I had a health complication and I gained weight because of that. And I've slowly been trying to work my way back down to where I want to be. I'm still a little bit off. I'm about 20 pounds away from where I want to be in terms of my weight, but I am working on it. So I really do sympathize with Amberlynn in this regard, right? Because I get her struggles. Now, I'm sure her struggles are probably going to be a lot more extreme than mine are, but that doesn't mitigate how I feel in relation to eating in public. I think I've said this before in a video in the past. I don't eat by myself ever. The idea of going into a restaurant and eating by myself is very odd to me, makes me feel highly uncomfortable and honestly very scrutinized. Part of that is that I'm just a very social person, and for me, eating is a very social activity. So eating by myself doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I know that that's not really a normal thing. A lot of people, you know, you eat because you're hungry. For me, if I'm just going to eat because I'm hungry, I'll eat something quick, I'll eat something fast. I don't even generally tend to heat anything up. But a lot of times if I'm going out for a meal, this is a more social experience for me. So I don't like to eat in restaurants by myself. It's just, I don't know, something about it. But there's also a good portion of me that doesn't like eating out in restaurants when I'm by myself because I don't want people to judge me. Somehow I feel like having others around me gives me more protection. Like, oh, okay, it's a group thing. But if I'm just there eating, then people know I'm just here because I want to eat food. And somehow the idea of them seeing me, a person who is not the ideal weight, eating food just makes me very highly uncomfortable and makes me feel very judged. So just laying my cards on the table here.
So we ended up going there, and I've gone out to eat plenty of times in my life, and I kind of just want to talk about how I feel being fat, eating in public, because there's a lot of people who, even just skinny people, don't want to eat in public. They feel like people are judging them, looking at them, criticizing what they're eating, this and that. And I have never had that, like, feeling of like, oh, people are looking at me while I eat. Like, even when I was in like elementary school, I would eat other kids' foods. Not even kidding. This is an example. Like, there was this rice thing that my elementary school had, and it was just like this ball of rice, like a hill of rice. I can't even explain it. And nobody liked it but me. So I'd be like, hey, do you want that? And I just take it off their tray. Like, I didn't even care. And then when I got into middle school, still didn't care. High school, didn't care. Like, I got free lunches, but then the foster home I was in, like, she also gave me money for school lunches. So I was having free lunch, and then I also bought another lunch. And I just didn't care what people thought of me. Like, in the slightest bit. And I'm sure people looked at me and judged me, and I just really didn't care. And then as I grew older, like going into restaurants and stuff, like, I just felt like another person eating in a restaurant. Like, everyone has to eat. That is your key to survival. That and water. Like, I don't know.
So I'm actually really surprised to hear Amber say that. In my own personal experience, that was when I felt, you know, the most judged, the most watched, and the most awkward and uncomfortable. Because I think your body is going through all these changes, and especially in high school where you're viving for, you know, the attention of romantic peers, it becomes very, I don't know, it puts you in this position where you feel so self-critical of yourself. And, you know, you guys all know, you guys have all probably been to high school at some point, or maybe are in high school, you know, at some point. And you know how that feels. You feel just so uncomfortable in your skin all the time. Add to that if you don't look like, you know, somebody who fits within the normal mold, and you just feel even more self-conscious and more uncomfortable. I always felt like I had invisible eyes on me. Like, I always felt like if I picked up, I think I never ate anything unhealthy at school ever, because I continuously felt like if I did, people would judge me and I would get called names, and it was a very uncomfortable situation.
But until recently, I have catched myself feeling more self-conscious than I've probably ever felt in my life regarding eating in public. I've gained a lot of weight, as you guys know, and as you guys can tell, like, hello, how you doing? And lately, I have been having to ask just for peer tables instead of kind of hoping to fit into booths, because back about 100 pounds ago, I was able to squeeze into pretty much any booth. There was maybe a couple where it was like, that's not even possible for someone who weighs 250 pounds, so let alone me. Now, it's almost like impossible to fit in booths, and, I mean, there's possibly a booth at this Chinese buffet I used to go to a lot that I can fit in, only because I can scoot the table and this and that, but even that gets complicated because the person sitting across from me is like the table's like up against them, so I have more room. It's just a whole mess.
So I don't know how to feel about that. I'm actually a little conflicted, because on the one hand, I don't think I've ever had that experience, right? Even at my heaviest, I fit pretty much everywhere. I never really had an issue with, you know, finding places to sit that were comfortable. I never really had an issue being able to get around. None of those were really big concerns for me. So I've never had to think of myself as being really limited by my weight. But on the other hand, I can't help but feel that, you know, would realizing that you can't fit in, you know, standard booths anymore, would that be something that would make you realize that you need to turn your life around? And I don't mean this in like a shame kind of way, right? I don't think you should feel ashamed, but realizations, that rock bottom feeling, that well of determination, that sudden aha moment that sometimes people describe when it comes to weight loss, that comes in a lot of different forms. For me, that came when I was in the big city with my friends. We were all walking around. Everybody was dressed so cute, and they had all these heels on and looking great. And I didn't. I was wearing flats, and I was not that cutely dressed. And I realized the reason for that was because nothing in my closet fit me, and high heels were just too painful for me to walk around in. It wasn't because I didn't want to. I literally couldn't. And if I wanted cuter clothes, I would have to go out and buy bigger sizes, because even my biggest clothes were too tight on me then. And I remember thinking to myself, this is not acceptable. You know, you guys might know this. I am an incredibly cheap person. I really don't believe in spending money on things that you don't need. I very much so believe in that. And in this particular situation, I remember just thinking, I'll have to spend so much money to buy pieces that I like just because I've gained weight. And the solution to that for me was just lose weight, and then you can go back to wearing the clothes that you already own that you love. That moment for me happened about 3 years ago, right? I think it was like early 2017, something like that. And basically by the time 2018, like the middle to end of 2018 came around, I was where I wanted to be. And it was fantastic. I can honestly tell you that a lot of the things that I thought just like aches and pains, the daily pain of existing, they just went away. I lost the weight and it just went away. Everything was easier. Sitting on the floor was easier. Crossing my legs was easier. You know, having heels on for hours at a time. Just little things, like I had less headaches. Like it was such a weird experience, but I was finally where I wanted to be. And I'm telling you, you guys can do it too.
And I've really never had to constantly ask for tables. It's like, embarrassing. And I'm starting to really get self-conscious. Like, when I order food, I almost feel like the waitress or waiter is like judging what I'm about to say I want to eat. And I feel like people around me are hardcore judging me. And the reason why this is like on my mind right now, this is gonna sound horrible of me to even want to admit. I'm sorry I keep playing with my hair. It's because I'm just like, I'm feeling like all kinds of like frantic because of this. We went into Texas Roadhouse today, and when we went to go sit down, there was this girl who, you know, to me looked like she was maybe like 50 pounds bigger than me. I can't really say. I asked Destiny, like, I have this like crazy thing where if I see someone that's like really morbidly obese like I am, I'll literally ask whoever I'm with, hey, is that person bigger than me? I don't know why. It's sickening. I don't know why I do it. I don't know if it's because I want to feel better about myself or I want to understand how other people visually see me.
She's delusional. So I did a recent react to one of her vlogs, and I remember she was talking about how body dysmorphia is a bitch. And I did research into body dysmorphia to see what it was, because I don't know too much about it. And what she has is not body dysmorphia. Body dysmorphia is when you fixate on a perceived flaw, right? She has the opposite of that. She has delusions where she doesn't see problems with the way that she looks. And I can understand that everyone's perception of themselves, because it's filtered through your own eyes, tends to be a little bit different. I know when I watch back video of myself, you know, I look so different than what I actually think I look like when I see myself in the mirror. And to a certain degree, that's true for everybody. But when the difference between what you see and what everybody else sees is so vast, I think it might be a problem.
I really don't know what it is. And I asked Destiny, she's like, I don't know, I wasn't really looking at her. I'm like, oh, that helps. But to me, she looked like she was about 50 pounds bigger than I was. Either way, we were both like super huge in the restaurant. And she was also sitting at a table with her like chunky friend. And I couldn't help but almost like judge this morbidly obese girl. Like, I am morbidly obese and I'm worried about other people judging me, but yet I am sitting there almost like judging this girl. Like, I wouldn't say I was like judging her like, oh my god, this big girl's in a restaurant. I was more so looking at her thinking, I'm so sad for her. Like, I'm sad that she's obese. And I noticed how other people stared at her, yet I never noticed how people stare at me.
I really do understand what she means. I think sometimes people think that I just come on here and I talk about them because I want to make fun of them and that I'm being mean. That's not it at all. I see a lot of their behaviors mirrored in my behaviors that I used to do, my disordered behaviors in the past. Quite frankly, you know, you can't relate to somebody on that kind of level and not feel some type of way when they're going down a bad path. I might not have ever gotten to 300, 400, 500, whatever pounds. That didn't mean that my internal struggles weren't the same struggles that they have. I might not have the exact same diagnostic issues that they do, but that doesn't mean that my disordered eating and that my internal struggles weren't similar to what theirs are. That's why I want to talk about it. That's why I'm hoping that these videos will impact somebody. That's why I'm hoping that I can help people be better. I don't want them to suffer as I did. You know, what's that saying? Wise men learn from others' mistakes. Fools learn from their own. I want you guys to be wiser than I am.
And it's like, it really opened my eyes. Like, do people look at me that way too? And I just don't notice it, but I noticed it with somebody else. Like, does that even make sense? Like, it was like a whole thing. And then I really almost didn't even want to sit there because I felt like we were going to draw attention because it's two really big girls. And I don't know, like, I was feeling really odd when we first got there. And I didn't tell Destiny, obviously. I didn't like share those emotions because I don't expect anyone to understand how I feel. And it's like, when the girl stood up to leave, I hadn't even gotten my food yet. And it's like, I couldn't stop staring at her. Like, all I could think about is like, I'm so sad for her. Like, why is she eating out? I did think that at one point. Like, what the fuck? I am morbidly obese myself. I should be worrying about myself. Why am I worrying about somebody else? And bottom line, I think it comes down to the fact that I understand how this girl probably feels. I don't know this girl, didn't talk to her. Literally, she was sitting in front of me for a solid 15 minutes. So I know nothing about her. I don't know how she feels, nothing. But it's like, I feel like I do because we're both like the same size, and I don't know. Like, I almost wanted to grab her and just be like, eat healthy, lose weight. It was just a really weird sensation. And I almost feel like it was more so like I wanted to like say that to myself, and I was almost mad at that girl for being there to make me feel these emotions, because these are emotions I need to be feeling for myself. Like, it was just really weird. And I don't want you guys to think like I'm a bad person, because I do not judge other people at all. We all have our little critiques that we make towards ourselves, or maybe to someone else, whether it be a family member, a friend, or a stranger. Like, we all do. It's normal. But it's like, I never felt so just like self-conscious and like so aware of the fact that I am a fat girl eating in a restaurant until today. And I still, like, I ordered fried pickles. I ate like 3 breads. I ordered like seasoned rice, mashed potatoes, and pulled pork. And I didn't finish all the food. That was like way too much. Like, I was so full.
Yeah, I don't think she sees what she's doing. She saw another girl there as big as her, maybe slightly bigger, maybe slightly less big, and it made her confront the reality of what her situation is, and it made her extremely uncomfortable. And so she did what she always does, which is she turned to food, and she sought comfort in it, and she ate until she no longer felt that way. That is not a healthy or, just functional way to react. This is true. Everybody does need to eat. But, and I'm going to quote Milk Tea Reacts here, alcoholics need to drink. They don't need to drink alcohol, right? It's the same thing with her. Amberlynn needs to eat. She doesn't need to be eating a Chinese buffet.
As much as I eat out, I almost hate it. Like, I love the food, obviously. I love how it's convenient and easy, but I hate how it's like making me feel. I'm scared that I'm gonna break a chair one day. I've never broken furniture in my life. But it's like, even just sitting down today at Texas Roadhouse, I was scared I was gonna break the chair. Like, it is just little things like that. And I really felt like beady eyes were on me all day in the restaurant. And I don't know. I've never felt this way before, and the fact that it's starting could either be a good thing or a bad thing. I don't want to be self-conscious in public. I don't think that's okay, no matter what you look like. Everyone needs to eat. It's not a taboo. And I don't know. I don't want to be that person who feels like I can't go out and do normal things just because of how I feel like other people are looking at me. Even just like walking to the table or walking out of the restaurant, I felt like everybody was staring at me and wondering, why is this fat girl here? And that's how I felt today as a fat girl eating in public, and I just feel horrible about it.
Okay, 2 things here. One is I understand how that feels, right? Because like I said, I have a lot of issues with eating in public too. I feel very self-conscious of myself. Now, I genuinely also think that a lot of that is in my own head. I don't think people judge nearly as hard because people don't care. Most of the time, people are too involved in what's going on in their own lives to pay that much attention to what you are or are not eating. And, I think that we feel self-conscious because we know that we're maybe not eating stuff that's the greatest for us. And a lot of times, honestly, it's also because we feel ashamed.
And I don't want to admit this, but the last time that we went to Destiny's grandparents' house and we all ate together, I feel like everyone is judging me. Just looking at me, looking at my plate, wondering how much I'm getting. And I get terrified to like get a lot. I get terrified to even go up for like a second helping of anything. And I just don't want to feel this way. And I shouldn't have to feel this way while skinny people are eating like 4 plates. And it's like, I don't know.
Second point here is that please don't compare yourself to skinny people, like these skinny people that she's talking about. The fundamental fact of the matter is that I agree, you can't judge a person's health by looking at them, right? But to a certain extent, the proof is in the pudding. If you're looking at somebody who is skinny, you're going to say, yeah, they're probably not eating as much as they burn. But looking at you, Amber, people can tell that you don't lead a healthy lifestyle because you weigh so incredibly extreme when it comes to your weight, right? You don't have to know the ins and outs of someone's life to know that they cannot possibly be leading a healthy life if they weigh 600 pounds. I'm sorry, but that's the reality of it. And you don't know what healthy people do, I should rephrase, what skinny people do when they're not eating at a restaurant. You don't know that, right? And that's the entire problem. I think that she sees skinny mukbangers, or she sees skinny people like what's her name, Veronica Wang or Stephanie Sue, and she thinks, well, they eat this much food on camera, how come they're not fat? Because the rest of the time they exercise, they diet, they do all the things they need to make sure that they're not going down an unhealthy path. One bad meal does not make you unhealthy, just like one healthy meal does not make you magically lose weight and make you healthy again. That's not how that works. It's a consistency issue. And you don't reach 600 pounds by being consistently good and just having a slip up every once in a while. You know what I mean? Okay, so that was the video. Look, you're never going to hear me come on here and say that fat phobia and discrimination against fat people isn't a real thing. But at the same time, a lot of what we feel is based very heavily on our own insecurities. I genuinely believe that, because when I lost weight, a lot of those insecurities I still had, and nobody was judging me like that anymore, because no one needed to judge me like that anymore. I fit within the mold of an average, normal human body, but I still felt uncomfortable. I still felt like there were eyes on me all the time. And therapy really helps with that kind of thing. So that will be it from me. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, or a thumbs down. That's totally fine too. Leave me a comment down below if there's something you'd like me to know. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the notification bell if you want to know when I post. I have all of my social medias linked down below. Twitter, where I sometimes pop off. Instagram, where it's mostly just food and what I'm doing in my day-to-day life. And Patreon. Think of Patreon as the tip jar for the internet. You can toss a few dollars at me if you think I'm doing a good job and you'd like me to continue. You don't have to. Please do not feel obligated, but if you can, I would truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. And remember, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. Peace.